everyone, Jelly here, and thanks for coming to watch another nail polish video. Today I'm swatching the Speckled Me collection from the brand by Dani Vianna. There are 5 polishes in this collection, all of them are so gorgeous. Today I am using the Orly Bonder base coat on all my swatch nails, so let's go ahead and get started. First up we have Speckled Me Orange, which is described as a neon orange curly base with black flakes. My videos do not do this polish justice. In person, it is definitely more of a pastel neon, but it is still super bright. I love how opaque it is within that first coat. If I did not have those random white bumps on my nails, I would probably wear this one right now in one coat, just because I love the coverage and how bright it still is. I am normally not a person that likes a visible nail line, but I have been liking it with certain polishes, especially if they have something more interesting in them. But when I do add that second coat, I personally find that it gave me perfect coverage, though if you work with extremely thin coats, you might need that third one to get full opacity. I love how fully it covers within that second coat, and with that wide paddle brush, it makes it super quick to get your manicures done. This is definitely a perfect one to grab when you are looking for something to get your nails done quickly, but you don't have a lot of time to do it. As you can see, perfect opacity within that second coat, but in my swatch style on my third finger, I did do that third coat just so you can see that difference. And there is 1, 2, and 3 coats of Speckled Me Orange. Up next, we have Speckled Me Yellow, which is described as a Crelly neon yellow base with black flakes. This one is just so fun. It literally is in person more like the color of a highlighter marker. It's really insane. What's even more insane about this one is that I found it gave me perfect coverage within the 2 coats. With the couple of yellows I do have, they do tend, in my opinion, to be pretty thick with like 2 C's and a little bit hard to work with, so I don't work with yellows very often, but this one was just so fun, so perfect, and with that little bit of sparkle of the black specks in it, it really brings it out more, in my opinion. As you can see on that second coat, like almost right away, perfect full coverage. Like, how did Miss Dani Vianna manage to get this one so perfect on that second coat? Even with that spot I have on that nail, and I think I have that spot on my middle finger right now as well too, that it just fully covers it up. You can't even see it anymore. I did end up not fully covering that nail, so I did try to fix it, but I ended up leaving it as it was. And then finally with that third coat, if you prefer your yellows in 3 coats, just to bring out a little bit more of that color, that totally works too. Just look how beautiful it is, and look how, yeah, that third coat is good, but you really do not need it with this yellow. And there is 1, 2, and 3 coats of Speckled Me Yellow. Up next is Speckled Me Green, which is described as a bright green base with black specks. And this one was the only one that I would wear in either 2 or 3 coats, depending on how I felt my application was or how it applied. This one, even though it was definitely my favorite color-wise of the group, I personally found it was more on the sheer side, even more than the yellow. You can definitely see that it doesn't cover as opaquely as the yellow one did. Is opaquely a word? Anyways, but it still applied great, just like the other polishes. I loved the coverage regardless. This is definitely one that if you have a similar color, you could wear over and make this one as a topper. On that second coat, which you will see in a little bit, you can still see a little bit of that white mark as well as my visible nail line. Again, I have said before, I feel like my visible nail line is pretty predominant. Like if you look at my nail on the left when I add that second coat, you can still kind of see that white line peeking through it as well as my visible nail line. I definitely feel like I have a stronger visible nail line, which did not help with it. But still, even with that second coat, I feel like it's gorgeous, and nobody in person's going to see those little imperfections unless they were really close looking. But if you're feeling a little bit nervous about that, putting on that third coat will make a difference. I did get true full opacity in that third coat. And there is 1, 2, and 3 coats of Speckled Me Green. Following after is Speckled Me Blue, which is described as a bright blue curly base with black flakes. This polish was definitely more like the green, where it was a little bit more on the thinner side, but you could still easily wear it in 2 or 3 coats depending on your application and preference. I feel like for me on a normal day, I would probably wear this in 2 coats, but make sure that my application is pretty even from the start. If I'm feeling really picky that day, I might go into third. None of these polishes felt too thick on the third coat either, which I know for polishes like these can feel like they do get a little bit on the thicker side, but nothing felt overly thick. You can definitely see the coverage and the color deepens when you add the second coat on for this one. Just look at that stark difference between the first coat and the second coat in terms of that shade of blue. I was happy with my application on this one in 2 coats. I felt like it was pretty opaque and you couldn't really even see that visible nail line. On that third finger though, that white spot was pretty predominant, but after spending a little bit more time with it, I was able to, I feel, mostly get it hidden, though you can still see a little bit of it peeking out right there. If you are nervous about stuff like that, go ahead and add that third coat. It does tend to darken the color just ever so slightly, but it is still very stunning. And there is 1, 2, and 3 coats of Speckled Me Blue. Last but certainly not least is Speckled Me Violet, which is described as a violet crelly with black flakes. And this one was a favorite of mine as well. Just look at that beautiful color. Even in just that one coat, you could wear it just like that and people would still think it is gorgeous, I feel like. But definitely when it gets built up is where the magic really happens, in my opinion. I did end up getting a little bit of patchiness there because I did have too much polish on the brush, and then I tried to correct it and I made it a little bit more of what a thicker one coat could look like. I also didn't realize that in these last couple of videos that I was leaning a little bit too far forward, so I am so sorry that you have to have a few moments in the purple video where you have to see my messy hair. Again, I am so sorry about that. But you can see definitely it builds up super nicely on those coats. Even with that second coat, it builds up nicely. I did go a little bit thinner on my application just to help make up for the difference, but still perfect opacity within those 2 coats. You can't even see that little white spot once that coat is fully on. But as always, I did 3 coats just so you can have a relative difference between 1, 2, and 3 coats. My hand was a little bit shaky, but I was able to get it in full opacity right then and there. And that color does deepen a little bit too. And there is 1, 2, and 3 coats of Speckled Me Violet. And here is the full collection together. Let me know what you think of each color. I personally loved this entire collection Everything about it's just so bright, so colorful. I am definitely going to have all of these polishes be together, and this is definitely going to be my Easter manicure this year. If you like this type of video, please hit that like button and lets me know that I'm doing a good job and you do like more content like this. Please hit that subscribe button if you want to be notified when I post videos. I am trying to post more regularly, but again, I buy all my polishes myself and I have to make all these videos myself as well. Again, thank you again so much for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye!